Let's get some of the latest litigation news about challenges against Illinois' gun ban, and also find out what they didn't approve in the space of the Second Amendment when it comes to Karina's bill. They had a measure that would allow for governments to get a warrant to, take firearms from those who face domestic orders of protection. Welcome back to Bishop on Air. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for hanging out. Plenty to tackle when it comes to the trajectory of gun legislation and litigation. If you are following along, you'll know that the U.S. Supreme Court, they have some things coming up, including a conference today. All right, so they're conferencing, and it's important for those following the challenges against Illinois' gun ban, because several of the challenges are in front of the U.S. Supreme Court in conference, and they're going to decide whether or not to take those cases. So we reported, what was it, a month and a half ago or so, the Supreme Court took several Illinois cases and a case from Maryland that were being requested for cert to review the cases, and they put them into conference. And behind closed doors, the U.S. Supreme Court considering what is to ultimately be taken up by the U.S. Supreme Court for oral arguments, or what they're going to deny. So we had conference on the 9th. We did not find out on the 13th if they were going to take the case. We had conference on the 16th. We did not find out on the 20th. Actually, I think the 16th is when they actually took the gun ban cases into conference. The 23rd, we did not get any note that they were going to take the case on the 28th when they released the order list. So we have another day today where they're going to go into conference, and the next order list will be published at June 3rd at 9:30 in the morning. So we'll be watching to see what happens, and that'll be 8:30 our time. So we'll watch to see what happens with the Illinois gun ban challenges, and whether or not the Supreme Court's going to take the cases on a preliminary basis, or whether they're going to reject the cases on a preliminary basis. But we also have the Southern District of Illinois Federal Court. I checked the docket. There wasn't much added to it, but ultimately that case challenging the state's gun ban in front of federal judge Stephen McGlynn, it's still proceeding. So they had a status conference not too long ago. They're still in the process of getting their experts all together and laying out depositions, and then we'll see some kind of bench trial. And this is all on the merits. So what the U.S. Supreme Court has is asking the court to take the challenges on a preliminary basis, because if you recall, the Southern District and the Northern District had separate cases. They went separate ways with their decision to ultimately say, the appeals court said the state had a likelihood of succeeding on the merits, after the Southern District said that the plaintiffs had a likelihood of succeeding on the merits and put an injunction in effect, but the appeals court reversed that. So all of that was on a preliminary basis. What's going on now in the Southern District is on the merits, while you've got the possibility the U.S. Supreme Court's going to take up that case. So interesting to see that. And also today, you've got opinions that are going to be released by the U.S. Supreme Court. And Freedom Steele on X says he's up early. Todd Vandermeide, he's on SCOTUS watch, and the two Chevron cases have not dropped yet. Opinions are at 9 o'clock our time, so in less than an hour here as we go live to tape. So Todd Vandermeide says he's wondering if they drop those cases first, then Cargill as a trifecta, since Cargill could be a result of killing off Chevron. And this deals with, administrative rules, and whether or not, like, for instance, the ATF can do administrative rules to write law. And we've kind of been tracking that, at least here in Illinois, when it comes to the gun ban, right? And all of the litigation and the rulemaking and how they go about defining things. So, can the ATF say that a lower unfinished receiver is a firearm? It seems to be what the crux of those cases are. But a lot of stuff in the U.S. Supreme Court to watch. We'll definitely be tracking that for you. But something else, just to go back to the Illinois General Assembly. They passed this spring session 207 measures out of the House. The Senate approved 258 measures out of both chambers. That brings the total to 465 bills they passed this spring at the Illinois State House. Last year, to compare, they passed 665 measures last year. But this year, they only passed 465. They filed 5,000 to 7,000 pieces of legislation. So 465 bills they approved. One they did not approve, a measure called Karina's bill that would allow for a court to give a warrant to local police to go after firearms and confiscate those firearms from individuals who face domestic orders of protection. And those are not guilty verdicts. Those are merely orders to say, hey, somebody's made a complaint against you. It's a domestic issue, and we're going to go ahead and have an order of protection against you. And then we'll have some cases to determine whether or not this is legit and we should move forward. Regardless, it triggers this instant thing of, in current state law, that you have to give your firearms to somebody who's able to accept those firearms, who's a FOID card holder, for instance, a firearm owner ID card holder. So it does not have to be a police officer. However, Karina's bill would require a police officer to get a warrant to then go and confiscate firearms from somebody who faces an order of protection. Red flag law debate aside, this measure would ultimately lead to that level of gun confiscation. But Karina's bill did not advance, and the gun control group, GPAC, Gun Violence Prevention PAC, they released the following statement from their president here in Illinois. They said, after a holiday weekend marked by over 40 shootings, including one that tragically killed 5-year-old Rain Warm, the General Assembly concluded its spring session without acting on any gun safety measures. This is unacceptable, GPAC said. Although shootings and gun homicide rates have decreased, there are still too many incidents of violence that are tearing apart families and communities. We have more work to do. I join with over 200 organizations in the Illinois Gun Violence Prevention Coalition in expressing our disappointment that lawmakers did not pass Karina's bill to remove firearms from known abusers once an order of protection has been filed. Our laws should work to protect survivors and their safety, not the rights of their abusers. The fight to end gun violence will continue this fall, and we will consider the inaction in upcoming general and election endorsements. We must protect survivors of domestic violence, curb illegal gun trafficking of lost and stolen guns, and strengthen our laws to ensure safe storage of weapons in Illinois. So obviously GPAC making it known that they're going to go after the Democrats that they supported for not advancing more gun control measures, like requiring warrants to go get guns from what they say are known abusers. But if you want to get into the debate of red flag laws, I mean, all of that's on preliminary bases. Nobody's been, I'm sure there might be some people in that grouping who have orders of protection against them that are convicted of certain crimes. But typically on a case-by-case basis, orders of protection tend to be kind of like the first action that's taken, and it's not necessarily a admission of guilt or anything. It's just like a what do they call that? Based off of exigent circumstances, things that are happening right now that they have to move quickly on. But regardless, that didn't pass. But it's also clear that GPAC, at least in Illinois, is looking at other things like curbing illegal gun trafficking and lost and stolen guns, and strengthening laws to ensure safe storage of weapons in Illinois. So regardless, none of that happened this spring session. So just for those of you who were watching some of those measures and whether or not they were going to, advance those bills, well, we got it all summer where they're not going to be acting on that stuff. So I just wanted to get that out to you as well. All right, it's Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Greatly appreciate you guys being here each and every weekday morning. And we'll see you sooner than later, all right? Check out the live show weekday mornings and then also the clips afterwards. It's right here with Bishop on Air. Appreciate you guys.